Alright, with Mabinogi New Rise coming out, it was a long live stream, so this is going to be a TLDR video breaking down what you can expect from Mabinogi New Rise. I'm going to be using my reaction to the live stream as footage, but it's just going to be snippets. So we're going to jump into this, but be sure to drop a like, comment, and most importantly, drop a subscribe, help support the channel, and we keep making Mabinogi content. So this update will actually be dropping next week, and the first big thing that's changing is a fully revamped combat experience. Now they're going to start with the dungeons, and the reason they're doing this is because, according to statistics, people weren't actually running dungeons to craft the weapons they needed. So they're going to be reworking ULAD dungeons, Tech Dune dungeons, Rabbi Phantasm, Crombass, Glenbarna, and Bree Lith. I'm probably saying that wrong. So much like modern MMOs, when you run these dungeons, you're going to be able to immediately get some new armor. Now this armor is going to have stats, Reforge rules on it, rarities. So now when you run a dungeon, you have a chance to get newly reworked armor, newly reworked weapons, and each of them is going to have a rarity ranging from common to sturdy to fine to exquisite and finally masterworked, but that rarity is classified for handcrafted weapons. Moving forward with the dungeon drops, you'll be able to obtain Celtic weapons, Perseus and demolition weapons, as well as Nightbringer and Ruination weapons, which is a great change. For the strongest weapons in the game, such as Soul Liberator and Solana, there is a new special upgrade level, which is level 8, and you'll be able to upgrade those weapons to be even stronger. Now they are also adding 2 new weapons to the Nightbringer series. This is going to be the Nightbringer Raider and the Nightbringer Savior. So the Raider is going to be for a one-handed axe, and the Savior is going to be a healing wand. So this is going to go great for Sacred Guardians and Harmonic Saints. Now jumping into the dungeon difficulty and reward overhaul. Tech Dune missions are going to be condensed into a single difficulty level now. And then Crombass is going to be changed from its present state where you have like Crom 20, Crom 50, etc. It's going to be changed into 2 difficulties, basic and normal. And for ULAD dungeons, that's going to be actually shortened as well. So for ULAD dungeons and Tech Dune missions, you can expect to clear them within 5 minutes or less. And they mentioned this is for, mid-game to end-game players. And then for Crombass, they're going to remove some corridors. I believe it's the zombie corridor. People hated those. And then for Glenbarna, they're actually going to make it so that you can play solo and go through the dungeon as well. Now, another big thing I would like to note here is dungeon entry restrictions. So hard mode dungeons for ULAD dungeons, you can enter them now without a pass, and the weekly entry limit for Tech Dune missions have also been removed. Next, they're going to add a new item that's going to work like shadow crystals called Nearite. So the goal for this is you pop one of these, you open a chest at the end of the dungeon, and it increases your chances of getting better loot. So for stuff like BME, whatnot, you'll be able to have higher odds at getting them. Now you might be wondering, how the hell do I get this Nearite item? You're going to be given so much every week, and it's intended to be used within that week. Now they're also going to be adding a new dungeon called the LB Shine Seeker dungeon. It's almost a tongue twister. So every day you're going to have, I believe, 3 runs, and then you're going to have a chance to get some great loot, such as the Nightbringer or Ruination weapons, a Void Robe, Floor's Glass Tiara, Enchant Stat, Increased Scrolls, Iron Chain Slasher Set, etc. They didn't really show much else than that. Now, the important thing to mention about this, while you get some great loot, it's going to be untradeable, but they expected anybody with reasonably good gear can clear it within 5 minutes without much difficulty. Dungeon Guide Revamp. They're kind of just changing how the dungeon guide looks. Overall, it's going to stay the same, but cosmetically, it's going to look a little bit different, a little bit cleaner, and it's going to show you the best way to flow through the dungeons in terms of strength and progression. The equipment inheritance system, which is a big deal. So typically when you get a new weapon, you would have to get new enchants, get new reforges, all that jazz, right? Now you'll be able to select what you want to transfer from your old weapon to a new weapon. So you can choose to transfer your enchantments, your reforges, your suffix, prefix, all that good stuff, right? But I do want to mention your old weapon's going to be destroyed in the process of doing this. So do you remember how I mentioned earlier you're going to get untradeable loot for running dungeons now? Well, you're gonna break that down. You'll get like a currency, it's an item, and that will be required in the process of the inheritance system, where you're gonna transfer from your old weapon to your new one. It's gonna cost gold and the material for breaking down mass obtained weapons and gear. Moving on to the new Reforge system. Boy, this one's a doozy. So first off, while running dungeons, you'll be able to, like I mentioned, get loot. That's gonna be the primary focus. You're gonna get loot that you might wanna keep, depending on the rarity, depending on what Reforge rules come with it. But the big thing is, now all weapons, items, anything you have, anything you own, is always gonna be rank 1. It's always gonna have 3 attribute lines, and you'll always be able to go up to the maximum level of 20. You're still gonna roll. You might get level 5, level 10, level 20, but the maximum level is still gonna be 20. But the big thing to take away here is everything's always gonna be rank 1 and always 3 attribute lines. Now, they did mention that they're gonna take a big hit in terms of revenue, but it's unsure of how we're going to obtain Reforges moving forward, because basic Reforges, Journeyman Reforges, they're all going to be removed from the game. Now, they're also going to be removing unnecessary growth elements, such as the Signet Enhancement, Special Unit Command Level stats, the Renown and Potential systems, and the bonus ego points for spirit weapons. Now, all the stat bonuses that you got from those, they're not being removed, they're just reallocating where you would get the stat bonuses from. They didn't really mention much about this, but squires will still be there, so don't worry about that. Now, regarding the ego points for spirit weapons, you may have leveled up your spirit weapon without maxing out their bond at those crucial levels, missing out on some ego points. So what they're gonna do is they're just removing the bonus ego points mechanic altogether, and all spirit weapons, including those with missing points, will have the maximum number of points for their level applied going forward. Improvements to skill training and racial stats. So when it comes to combat and life skills, do you know how sometimes you would have to grind out life skills to get some strength, or some combat skills to get some will or dex? They're gonna be splitting those up, so if you want to focus on combat, all of the combat skills will give you strength, defense, etc, etc, and then the life skills will give you stats related to life skills. So that way, if you picked up the game and you just wanted to focus on life skills, you could do that, which is, I think, is a great change. Additionally, they do plan to eliminate the racial disparities in stats between the races and improve the stat caps uniformly across for all races. So racial skills are still going to remain there, but racial stats, so example, humans, elves, and giants will all kind of be uniform in terms of stats when they're leveling up and ranking up. Also, age doesn't matter moving forward. Age is going to be cosmetic, so you don't have to worry about your stats when it comes to age, which is great. The great change is they're going to be improving stun lock. To quickly talk about this, the higher your defense is, the higher your protection is, the less you'll be stun locked, because, you know, we fight gods. Why are rats stun locking us? So this is great. Awesome. W. Now, another change that they're going to implement is improvements to switching between Arcana. So right now, to switch Arcanas, it's 100 AP, which can kind of suck. Moving forward, it's only going to cost 10 AP, which is even better. Hell yeah, love it. Now that covers all the big updates for November. Let's move on to December. We're going to be getting 2 new Arcanas, the Forbidden Alchemist, which is going to be Alchemy and Medicine, which lets you kind of customize your skills in a cool way, so that way each skill provides a different buff depending on the mana herb and stuff like that. Next, we're getting the Arsenal Gunner, which is going to be the Gunslinger talent, and its secondary talent is Transmutation. Rabbi Phantasm is getting a new difficulty called Temptation's Pass. So essentially what you're going to do is within Rabbi Phantasm, you're going to kind of do some actions that will take you down an alternative path, similar to Glenberna's Primeval Winter difficulty. Now moving on to the first half of 2026. Echo Stones are going to be added to the extra equipment slots, so that way you can mix and match your extra equipment slots more. And then moving forward, when you fail attempts at Echo Stone advancement, no longer will the stone's grade drop. In addition to awakening Echo Stones, it will not only cost a fixed amount of AP, and a new feature will be added, so that way you can skip the dungeon and just go to the music box area immediately, so that way you can advance and awaken Echo Stones even faster. Advancements will cost gold, but clearing the dungeon will still provide 5 free advancement attempts, just as before. Alright, the next big change is sources of stat equipment. Now, this kind of touches on the fact that best in slot equipment would typically be in gachapons. What they're going to do is actually add a way for you to earn gacha boxes in the game, so that way you could get this equipment, so that way you're not just stuck buying it through the item shop. Now, I think adding a way to get gacha boxes in the game to get some rare items is great. They didn't really touch on how they're going to do it, but they said we're currently working on implementing this and hope to roll it out sometime in the first half of next year, or that they're going to share more details in the future. And with that, I do believe that covers everything that you can expect from the New Rise update. Let me know in a comment down below what you think, and if you want to watch me react to the full live stream, that's also on my channel, so be sure to check it out. And I hope you guys enjoyed the TLDR, and thank you again so much for watching, and don't forget, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys all next time.